For you, it's a new point of view to chew over what's new to you. Shoot the breeze, make buddies, and Melissa MC's families, memories, original artist series.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Original Artist Series. Thank you so much for tuning in on this kind of chilly Saturday in New York City. It's a little bit cold here today. I wanted to thank everyone for your support that you've given us over the past couple months. And I wanted to also just reiterate our mission behind doing the Original Artist Series. As an artist myself, I, in quarantine, have definitely can say without a doubt that the arts are essential. It's not only for our mental health, for me personally, it's a physical well-being and also an overall well-being. The arts are essential. And I know a lot of people are suffering because they can't perform live in front of audiences, but I see a lot of people doing a lot of great work online, which is super fun. And that's what we're here to do, to create awareness. And I also I'm trying to go through every single friend I have before I get to strangers, which I will do, because I do not plan on stopping even when we go back to some sort of set of normalcy. But there's so many talented friends I have. And I also wanted to let you know, last week, I took a week off for two very important reasons. Number one, my 7-year anniversary of meeting Leonie in Barcelona. And number two reason I took off was to celebrate the president-elect Biden and, of course, Vice President Harris. And so with that opportunity, I went to see our friend John at Brandy's, and where I saw, again, my friend that's our guest tonight. And he was already planned on being a guest, so it was just a coincidence that we met up. So it felt so good to see him in person, because I had not seen him since John, I think, had some sort of party in January, where I think we crammed about 40 people in that apartment before we even know Corona was a thing. So it is my great honor and my great pleasure to introduce Peter.
Wow, what an intro. I'm just sitting here just reeling in your words. I'm like, wow. And then the intro by John, the fabulous John, he sang that beautiful song. And then you, of course, like the prom queen you are, like the homecoming queen you are, you open up your heart and then just tell people your mission. And I'm just like, You know, I'm in it. You just got me all in there, and that made me all snuggly on the inside. I'm very.
We're gonna snuggle online tonight.
Yes, and we're both dressed in black. You have on your red lips, I have on my red glasses, so we came to handle some business. There's a secret you and I both knew or something. Yeah. Exactly.
So, well, you look great. You look fantastic.
Thank you. It takes one to know one.
It's so good to see you. It was so great to see you last week at Brandy's.
Yes. And it was, and it just shows how you follow the spirit. You follow him. I am a spiritual person. And that day I was in the bed, you know, I started my day with a prayer meditation and with my prayer group. Shout out to my sister, Victoria. We get up every morning. We pray, you know, we lift up the world. I lift up you. I lift up Leonie. I lift up John. I lift up all the people on my prayer list. And I went back to sleep, and, you know, all of a sudden these cars were like honking. It was just this honking and screaming. And at first I didn't know what was going on, because, you know, when you hear white women screaming, you know, you just assume something's like happening, and cars are like screeching, and, you know, I'm on a busy highway where we are. And I thought, great, Armageddon happened. Somebody bumped into somebody, and the worst has just happened. We've just hit the plummet. But then all of a sudden, all this bachata music started playing. It was just a lot of commotion at one time. And I was like, okay, the rapture's not happening. The rapture's not happening. The Walking Dead that I thought was going on is not really going on. Somebody won. Biden won. And then it started Thank God for social media. It could be a bad thing, but it could be a good thing. It saves lives, because I'm telling you, I really thought the world was ending. I thought it was a thing, and I'm grateful. I'm grateful that everybody's happy. I'm grateful that everybody got a second to exhale and celebrate. That was a good thing. Again, it's so funny that happened last week, and you were like, you know what, I need to take a minute from me because I need to enjoy this. And I went to Brandy's. I was like, I'm supposed to clean and do laundry, and I went to the laundromat. The water broke. I couldn't even do laundry, and I was like, okay, well, I guess I have to go out. I have to
go out now.
I have to go out now. And shout out to Mario Davila, the manager of Brandy's.
He's doing such a great job. Yeah.
He's relentless. It's like you. It's like, again, with that beautiful speech you said before, like all the other artists out here who have defiant hope. That's the word I'm looking for. Thank you. Yeah. Defiant hope. You just won't give up. Melissa, y'all just won't give up. Y'all just won't sit down and shut up and just like die and let your artistry die. You're just putting on makeup and putting up tents and getting on and making these shows happen. And you refuse to just stand there and be babies and complain and wait for somebody to do something for you. You guys just insist on being great. You insist on making things happen. And I have no choice but to join the party.
I have to say the same about you.
Oh,
Peter. So let's get back to the top here.
Okay.
Where were you born? I don't know this.
Oh, you make me tell I'm a little business. Well, I guess I'm a Southerner. I didn't know I was Southern until I moved to New York City. But I always say I'm not from Florida. I'm from Miami. Okay. There's a difference. I'm not from Florida.
I understand the difference.
There's a big, because Miami's not ran like Florida's ran. As you saw in the election, we got our own way of handling business. And I didn't know I was Southern until I moved to New York City. I didn't know how to act until I got here. I didn't know I was countrified until I got here. So there's that.
That makes you special. That's for sure. So what brought you to New York?
Well, again, it's just like anyone in New York City. Unless you are born here, everybody comes to this city for something. Yeah. And if you say, oh no, you're lying. Yeah. Everybody comes here with a purpose, with a dream, and with a mission. Something, or to escape something. You want something from her. You want something from New York. And that I came to pursue my dream, to be a superstar, to work specifically in music theater first, whichever gave me the opportunity. And that happened in like 2008. It literally was like a Barbara Streisand film. Like the ingenue, the male or female ingenue that got tired of the town, and they were like, "There's nothing for me here." And then you hear the chorus go bump, and then you hear the orchestra go bump. So I gotta get out. Bump. And literally, I graduated. You can ask my mother. I graduated college in like March, and I gave myself a month, and I said, "Whatever I save up, but I am getting out of Florida. I am moving to New York City." Some kept saying, gotta move, gotta get out. And I did. I moved to New York City with, I was able to save up like $2,000 and put it in a basement apartment that was illegal, Brooklyn. And I had $300 to my name. And I said, I don't care. I said, I will take this $300 and I will find a job. I said, God, you gonna meet me there in the city. I will find a job. And so who can deny this face? Who can deny me? And here I am. Wait, what is it, like 12, 13 years later? Here I am, still here, because I could have fell on my face. And thank God. I'm grateful.
I have a similar story. I had exactly $1,500 and I got an apartment on the Lower East Side that was dirt cheap, and it was also dirt. It had no windows. It was like a brothel. It was heroin was going on the streets. But I got here, and I never left. That was 2003.
And you figure it out. You figure it out once you get here.
I didn't have a job. Yeah, I was very much like you. I was like, who can deny me? Look at me.
This face. This is who can
So much
like
space.
who can look at me, and it worked out. Within a month, I got it. Within a month, I got my first domestic job because it wasn't in entertainment, but I got my first
Yeah.
job. And of course, I was a server, in a jazz club, and I made them. Thank God again, because I could have fell on my face, and it worked out. I'm still
And
here.
you probably met a lot of people.
Yeah, a lot of people, a lot of experiences, and even now, just when I think I have the city down packed, just when I think I know New York, there's a whole new level. There's just a whole new thing to know. There's so many things that are interchangeable, but the more things change, the more they stay the same, because New York will always be New York. New York will always not care. New York will always be about the real people. And
Absolutely.
hence me being here and the subject of this show, because if you would have told me in 2008, oh, there's this virus that's going to go around, right? And it's going to literally shut the world down, and you're going to be at the helm of it. You're going to be a part of it. Like how you and New York go together. You and New York are like old friends. You and this virus are going to be old friends too. Like literally you can't hear the virus heard without feeling something. And if you'd have told me that in 2008, I'd have been like, you're a lie. Stop that. I'll be on Broadway first. Stop that. No, not me. And here we are.
So let's go back to the October before Corona hit. And we're going to get to the exact date of when it came about for yourself. But we were at the Stonewall. We were doing, and I didn't pull that picture. I'm gonna before we're done, I'm gonna pull it from my phone and just show
You got it.
We were rehearsing, and I remember we all had come from work, or I think you were staying, and John was so busy, and Kim Lee was everyone was so busy. We finally found like that 2-hour time slot. We got together at Ripley Greer.
Well, that's New York. Everybody's busy, but you find a way to get together.
The tiniest studio they only had like one left. It was a teeny one. We're all in the studio in each other's faces, having the best time.
Singing the time warp, singing Xanadu.
The time warp in this teeny tiny studio.
Mm-hmm.
We went out for pizza after.
Yeah.
In a teeny tiny restaurant.
In true Driscoll fashion, there was a family dinner. Like if you know me, then you know to stay behind. There's a party going on after. We're gonna excuse all the other guests, but everyone else, you come. It's the true Driscoll fashion, and it was a wonderful evening, family dinner, and again. You can't take those moments for granted, because just being face to face in one another, being in a small studio, belting our faces off and figuring out notes here and coming in and out of a room and touching a door and someone coughing to clear their throat so they can hit a note, Now we think about those things now. Now that's I go back with a fine tooth comb over it anytime somebody brings up a situation in my life, and I'm like, it's now forever changed, because this is the New York experience.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, thank you, Macaroni. I appreciate those words. It's all God. Thank you. In New York, God allowed New York to make me. New York put me through, and New York said, "You want to be my friend? This is what my friends do." I'm telling you. Anyway.
Well, let's go ahead and go to. So the article that you sent me was dated March 11th. And the bottom sentence of that article was March 11th, 2020.
Mm-hmm.
As of now, 52 people in the 5 boroughs have tested positive for coronavirus.
Uh-huh.
This article was written after you'd gone to the hospital. Is that correct?
This article was written not after I got to the hospital, but after I went to urgent care. Because what happened was how I started with coronavirus and how I started hearing about it from October 2019 and going into 2020. You heard about coronavirus, but it was just little trickles here because it got lost in the translation of flu season, because flu season starts around October. Cold and sinus and all the stuff, it's all a thing. Until flu season ended, that's when people were like, okay, there's a problem. So around January, I moonlight as a teacher, and I happened to work at an international school. I'm like New York made me into a unicorn. It's just everything just hits the nail on the head with me. I work at an international school where, English for a lot of the kids are a second language. And when we started the beginning of the year, particularly the Asian kids in my class that were from Japan, that were from Tokyo, that were from areas, Korea. They were talking about coronavirus, but I wasn't paying them any mind. I was just like, okay. And I made my kids do a project about having 2020 vision. It was just something God kept putting in my spirit. He said, make them write down a vision for 2020 and then have a 10-year plan from 2020 going to 2030. And specifically was like, you need to write down your hopes and your dreams because something's telling me that 2020 will be the year. Like, if you don't know who you are, like, it's going to all fall apart. And I had like 360 kids and I made every single class because I worked as a mental health teacher. This all happened. And then around February, stuff really started getting real. Xenophobia started happening in the school where all the international kids started being started giving the other Asian kids a hard time, and they were talking about coronavirus, and I was like, huh? And then all of a sudden, I remember one particular thing happened, and the teacher was white. She was supposed to go to we go to trainings and stuff, and she was supposed to go to a training to another school. And this was around the end of the week, February, going into that, and the people at the convention told her, "Don't come." And she was like, "Why can't I come?" It goes, "Because we don't want anyone that teaches at an international school." And this is America we're talking. This is New York City. Manhattan. The training was like in Connecticut or something like that, and it's for teachers all over the tri-state of New York, New Jersey. And they said, we do not want you there. Anybody that teaches at an international school cannot come to this seminar. And it was just, yeah. So it was those things that were happening. And then I also moonlight as an usher because we all have different hustles going.
Oh, absolutely.
And one of the main theaters I work is the Schubert organization. I am an usher for Schubert. I'm in the union, and
which is great, by the way.
Huh?
Which is great, by the way.
Yeah, it is great because I got to see shows. I got master classes and performances, and it afforded me. Again, I met a lot of people, but I wasn't thinking about it until now. How your angel could be staring you right in the face, how something can happen and change in the matter of minutes. And one thing that happened in particular was I started working a Scott Rudin show. And with Scott Rudin, when you work his shows, it comes with something because it's always a lot of work because he's very meticulous and he's very anal. And he requires a lot of things of his people. So when I was working Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf? And I was like, okay, here we go. I don't want to work a Scott Rudin show because they don't allow late seating and then they don't do the patrons right. And he's not a very nice guy anyway. They just let him control all the theaters because he has all the money, quote, fingers. And when coronavirus started happening, I'll never forget it. It was one particular week, like the last week of February, the beginning of March, and I was trying to get my mother's birthday present going because my mother's birthday is on March the 16th. And I started like my second week at He Was Afraid of Virginia Woolf, and I was like, okay, no casualties. I'm working with a good staff. Let's just get through to get to the theater. And that Monday, I just got this feeling like I was just weak. I just felt weak. I could not explain it. I just felt weak. And I'm a 100% healthy person. I'm not. I don't have any other instances of chronic illness, and it really was a lot for me. For me to say I don't feel well, that's a problem. For me to say I need to stop, that's a problem. And I remember I was laying in bed, and it was a Monday. And I was like, I don't think this week is going to work out for me. I think I need to call off work. And for me to say that I need to call off work, I come from a family of hard workers, resilient people, where you show up to work unless you are dying. And it felt like I was slowly getting there. And I don't know if anybody knows the Black experience in America, but particularly when you're Black, you have to often self-diagnose yourself because if you go to the hospital, if you end up in the medical world, you may get the wrong care because it's a stigma that comes along with being Black in America. They don't believe that Black people are in pain. The moment you say you're in pain, they just think that you're trying to scam them or do something. So often you'll find that a lot of Black people will self-diagnose themselves, and I'm one of them. And something in my spirit said, this is pneumonia. And I was like, pneumonia, but I don't know what pneumonia is, but I think I have it. So around Monday, I started feeling bad. But Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, it really started hitting me. I started walking really slow. And I'm already a slow walker, but for me to turn into like a sloth where I'm like, and where cars are passing me, that's a problem. And I remember like trying to get into work and I couldn't show up for my shift. And Chrissy, who works at the Booth Theater, and Miss Marjorie, they're very perceptive like you. And they looked at me and they were like, you don't look like you feel good. And they would make me stand to the end of the aisle. And they would go, you don't have to do so much work today. Just point to the section. And I remember Chrissy got me green tea from Starbucks because she felt so bad for me because apparently it showed on my face. And I was not doing good. So by Friday, it was just all systems go. I was like, well, if I could just make it to Friday, I don't have to worry about it. I promise you. I even made a petition to God. I was like, God, if you just let me just make it to Friday so I could just make this little bit of money, make this thing and just get to the thing, I promise you I will go to the doctor. And my mom, spiritually intuitive, she just kept calling me that week. She was just really on me. She was like, you said you don't feel good. She said, you said your stomach hurts. You can't walk. She says, you need to go to the doctor. So that Friday, I remember I was early at Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, and I left the theater, and I remember it got to the point where I could barely walk down the street. Like I was gonna call a cab to like take me home, and I couldn't walk down the street. I was so weak, and I was going to go to Hamilton to go handle some business for a friend of mine, to go see my friend Tim, who's the house manager. Shout out to Tim, and I thank God that it literally hit my system to not go. Literally, I was on my way to like walk to Hamilton, and I got so weak I was gonna pass out. And some said, don't go to that theater. Don't go to any more theaters. Go home. So that Friday, I was like teaching classes and doing that stuff. And I went home. My students were even looking at me like, is there something wrong with you? And one of my last memories in the school was a student drawing a circle on the board saying, if you want coronavirus, touch right here in magic marker. And I saw the thing as a joke on that Friday that I felt sick, and that was one of my last memories in the school. So I get home that Saturday. I get to urgent care on like 56th Street, 57th Street, right there in Columbus Circle. And they asked me in the paper, they're like, well, do you think you have coronavirus? And I was like, I don't have coronavirus. What do you mean? No, I have pneumonia. And don't ever say coronavirus to me. What are you talking about? And they were like, okay. It's a new thing. We just ask people if they have coronavirus. And I go, okay, well, cool, but don't ask me that. I'm good. I'm healthy. Meanwhile, I don't know what coronavirus is. I don't know. So I get there. I get to the doctor, and it's just like my body was waiting for me to get to some hospital or get to some medical care. Because the moment I got there, I got this pulsating headache that I could not control on the side of my head. And the doctor said, are you okay? And I was about to pass out in urgent care. It was like the room started spinning and I couldn't walk. And I was just like, oh God, I don't think I'm going to be able to make it. And I had to call a cab to get to urgent care that morning. And the doctor said, well, you do have pneumonia. He said, but I'm going to give you Tylenol for that headache. But he goes, your fever's getting through the roof, because my fever started getting towards 101, 102. And I was dressed to go to work I was going to be slick and try to work that Saturday matinee. And I was like, okay, obviously I can't. I'm just going to go home, have them give me these little meds, and I'll be fine. It's fine. I'm fine. It's fine. We're all fine. It's all good. We're all good. So then the doctor said, I can't, if I'm got to give you a CAT scan, you got to go to the hospital around the corner. You got to go to Mount Sinai. He said, because it's just tradition here. He said, that's just a way of gauging who has coronavirus and who doesn't. He goes, even though you have pneumonia, he said, we've noticed that people that have pneumonia, do coronavirus at the same time. He goes, so for some reason, pneumonia and coronavirus is going hand in hand. And I said, okay, I'll go to Mount Sinai. I'll do whatever you say. And I remember trying to go outside. And again, the same thing when I was trying to go to Hamilton to see my friend Tim. I couldn't barely walk around the corner. It was literally like my body was turning against itself. It was like, that was not me. That was not me. I get up and my body gets up. I want to do a backflip, my body does the backflip. I kick and my body kicks. And I could barely move. And thank you, Pascal. Yeah, it is. It's like you don't forget that. And I did. I called the cab. I'll never forget. I had to pay $8 to have the cab take me around the corner because I could not walk. I couldn't walk. I couldn't walk. I couldn't get there. And I told the cab, please just take me right to the door of the hospital. And eventually I got to the door of the hospital. Hold 1 second, because I'm sweating because of this light. Woo!
Oh, that's okay. I know. We got to have the lights.
The lights. I got to the door of the hospital and they let me in. And I was like, and I came with the paperwork and I said, hey, my doctor says that I have pneumonia, but he said he wanted you guys to get a CAT scan of me. So can you guys just take this CAT scan and let me be on my way? Give me my antibiotics so I could just go home. Because again, Black people in hospitals, they just know 12 times out of 10, your doctor doesn't believe you that you're in pain. So you have to self-diagnose yourself and you have to be proactive in terms of your health care. So spiritual intuition, a lot of home remedies, your grandmother, a lot of that's in this. And they said, okay. So I remember waiting in the hospital and it wasn't too packed. And I remember everybody in the waiting. I remember there was an old guy like in a chair and he was waiting for his wife to come pick him up. I remember there was this couple with their baby just running rampant in the hospital. And I was just like, why would you let your baby run rampant in urgent care? But I'm not the parent. And the nurse was so nice. There was a nurse and she was so nice. She was a sister and she listened to everything I said. And then they put me in a room. So finally, they got me going where I got a CAT scan, and I'm going all through the hospital. Keep in mind, the hospital's full of people walking and talking. New Yorkers talking about their life, and I'm in pain, but it's okay. I live on 46th Street, so I'm not going to worry about it. My husband's going to take care of it, and it's fine. Bada bing, it'll be done. And I'm hearing all these conversations. I'm like, cool. So they give me a CAT scan, and they go, okay, it's obvious you have pneumonia, so they put me on an IV, and I'm like, great. I'm on the IV. I have pneumonia. You're going to give me antibiotics? I'm going to go home. And I'll never forget the nurse. She was so nice, Asian lady. She came in there. She was like, hey, obviously you have pneumonia. She goes, we got you on the IV. We're just going to pump that through your blood. We're going to give you some meds. You go home, rest, and you should be fine. And I was like, great. It's fine. I'm fine. We're fine. I'm fine. We're good. Hey. So I text my mom, and I don't have that much battery juice. I was like at 60% that day. And I was like, I ain't got to worry about it. I was like, because I'll be home soon. I don't have to worry about being at 60%. I'll be home. I'll be fine. And this was 10 o'clock in the morning. I'm fine. So by the time I got to from urgent care to the hospital, it was like 12. And I was like, I'll be out of here around 1 o'clock. So I text the people at Schubert. I text Nicole. I was like, hey, Nicole, I got pneumonia. Can't be in today. I'm sorry, I never call out, but you got to find somebody else to work, and they think I may have coronavirus, so they're going to make me take a coronavirus test, but don't worry, it's fine, it's fine. And Nicole said, okay, cool. She said, I know you don't call out, but that's good. We'll find you a replacement. She goes, but take care of you, and let me know what that coronavirus test says. And she said, I'm not being rude. She says, but I have to text the coordinator. I got to text the coordinator of the union rep just to let her know you're taking a coronavirus test. Because keep in mind, I'm one of the first people that's like popping up with this. So, and I go, it's fine. We're fine, and it's good. Then all of a sudden, that same nurse, the Asian nurse, she comes back and she goes, wait a minute. Before you go, she goes, something was off in your CAT scan. She goes, I'm sure it's nothing. She goes, but we want you to go back in there. And we need a deeper CAT scan because she goes, that machine we took you to, it doesn't do anything. So we're going to give you the machine that we use for people that have cancer just to see what's going on with your body. Then I said, okay, cool, it's fine. And she says, it's cool, we're cool. And I go, okay, we're fine. So she leaves. They take me to the room and give me the CAT scan. And in the matter of 30 minutes, everything changed. I was in the room laying down and I was thinking about what I'm going to do. And I was like, I have to use the bathroom, but I was like, I'll use it once I leave the hospital. And I was like, I need to charge my phone, but I was like, it says 60%, but I'll leave the hospital. I'll be fine. And this is around 12:30, 12:45. The same nurse came in, and I'll never forget, she was screaming in my door, and took, you know how you have a pee cup, a cup that someone pees in when they, she threw it in my room. Threw it in my room and slammed my door and locked it. And no conversation with me, no nothing. All I see is an object just fly through, whoop, like that. And I go, is that a pea cup on the ground? And I go, and I hear, and I go, should I get up and check the door? And my spirit was like, don't get up and check the door, because it's just going to make you panic. And through the other side of the door, I hear people screaming. Keep in mind, it's a full hospital, a full waiting room, people being New Yorkers, you know, living their daily life. And I hear people screaming and panicking. Screaming and panicking as if like an active shooter or something crazy was happening. And I was like, should I be getting up too if they're screaming? And it seemed like they were moving. All I heard was wheelchairs moving and people moving and running, going, oh, we gotta go. And I'll never forget, I was in that room for almost an hour with no contact with anyone, no one telling me anything. And I'm going to share my screen with you because I just want to show you something right quick.
Absolutely.
This is what I show my students when they were asking me about what happened with me with coronavirus. So as you all can see, I had an abnormal form of pneumonia. An abnormal form of pneumonia, and it led to other things. So pneumonia, regular pneumonia, looks like this when it's in someone's body. That's just regular pneumonia. And this is an X-rayed chest with COVID-19, aka coronavirus. So it's an abnormal form of pneumonia, and it looks very smoky, very murky inside the chest area. That's a chest X-ray, and that was my chest X-ray in the hospital. That's what they came up with for me in the hospital. So like I said, they locked me in the room, and all of a sudden I heard people screaming and panicking, running, and I'm like, why are people screaming, panicking, and running? Like, what is going on? Like, is anybody going to talk to me? And, you know, I just hear people hollering, and I'm just like, so in a fraction of a second, my nurses went from looking like this. Now, keep in mind, this was how my nurses looked when I first got to the hospital, to looking like this. So the next time they walked in the room, they came in there looking like a bunch of like Transformers. And I wish you could, it just seemed the vision in my head, because everyone was dressed normally. And then to see them dressed up like that and walk in the room an hour later, and then I was just like, this screaming and this hollering is about me. This is about me. And I had to keep myself going from having a panic attack. And all of a sudden, I'm under quarantine. It went from a controlled experience where I felt like I was controlling the space to them controlling me. And the nurses made me get in a chair. They made me get in the chair, and they said, hey, get in this chair. And I'm like, well, why am I getting in the chair? They said, you need to follow us. You need to follow us, the Transformer nurses. And then all of a sudden, it was like being in an episode of The Twilight Zone. It was like a regular hospital had now been packed up. They had plastic everywhere, plastic on the walls, plastic over the TVs, plastic over everybody. And a full hospital is now empty. And I'm the only one there being wheeled through, and everyone who is there is dressed in trash bags, dressed like Transformers, looking at me. And all of a sudden, they put me in this room, they lock the door, and they go, you can't leave. And I go, what do you mean I can't leave? They go, you can't go anywhere. They go, we have to put you on the quarantine. And I said, well, how long am I going to be here? And then even the nurses said, well, how long is he going to be here? Nobody knows what in the fuck is going on. You know, the nurses were cursing. They were like, I hate this hospital, because why are they doing this to this patient? You know, and they were black and I was black, and they felt away. So the doctors came in the room, and I don't remember their names, but they were like, hi, my name's two white doctors. My name is Dr. So-and-so. And they go, listen, we're just going to be honest with you. We don't know what we're doing. And I said, what? They said, we don't know what we're doing. We don't know what's going on. And they said, but we do have a couple questions for you. They were like detectives. So then they started asking me, like, it just turned into like I was in an episode of Law and Order. And again, you had the xenophobia going on. So they were asking me if I was an American citizen. First of all, they were trying to ask questions that asked, was I an American citizen? Have I traveled outside of the US? And my answer was no. They were like, well, are you foreign? And I'm like, no. They were like trying to carefully word things, but they couldn't get it. Then they were like, okay, well, do you smoke? And I'm like, no. They were trying to find every way to pinpoint this to just capture how can someone catch this disease? And they were like, well, do you have AIDS? And I'm like, I'm just sitting in the hospital like, no, I'm perfectly healthy and I don't understand why I'm here. So the doctors had me in the hospital, and keep in mind, my mom is in a whole nother state. And at first I told her, Mom, I'm fine. Mom, I'm just getting meds. And then to tell her that, to go to Mom, I'm in quarantine. And I wish you could feel how my mother felt having a child in another state, locked up in quarantine, and the only information she can get about coronavirus is on the news. And if you get coronavirus information on the news down south, they tell you the fearful stuff. They don't tell the full information. They tell the stuff to make you fearful and afraid. They tell you the stuff to make you think people are at each other's throats, killing each other. So that's the information that they're telling my mother on TV. And of all the people to have coronavirus, my son has it. So we went from there. I'll stop that screen. But we went from there, and my mother's like freaking out. My mother's calling me every other second to get information. To keep in mind, my phone is only at 60%. So I'm trying to save as much juice as I can now. This phone that I thought I was going to be able to have for the full day is now a ticking time bomb because it's only at 60%. And my mother wants answers. She's like, well, who's helping you? And then I say, I don't have answers. The doctors don't know what to do with me. The only thing they know to do is lock me up. So thank God for my angels. Thank God. And you could show that PowerPoint presentation.
All right. We're gonna go through all of Peter's angels right now.
Because that's what led me to where I am today. Because the first person that actually caught me with coronavirus is I'll let you start. The first person that told me I had coronavirus, I was actually preparing for a gig that week. I was going to sing backup. That first person is Burgundy Williams. That's my cousin. And I was in her house that Friday about to go to work. I forgot that part. And she saw me walking through the door because she suffers with chronic illness herself. There are things that she deals with that has a good opportunity to overcome. And so she knows when someone's sick. So when she looked at me through the door, she made me stop at the door. She goes, you're sick. She goes, what are you doing here? She goes, why did you show up to my house sick? And I go, Burgundy, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? She goes, you're sick. She goes, look at your eyes. Your eyes are bloodshot red. She goes, do not sit anywhere in my house. She got mad. And she goes, let me make you some hot honey and garlic. She made me this tea. And she said, don't touch anything. Just sit down in the chair. And she was one of the first people to clock that I was sick. And she was like, you need to listen to your mother and go to urgent care. The next angel that I had going into this, and that's her on X Factor. Shout out to her. She can sing her face off. She sure can. To my next angel, this is, I believe, wait, who's next on the slide? This is C.B. Murray. He was one of the first people to get in contact with me in the hospital. And when I had to make them admit me. I had to make them admit me because after when I was there in urgent care, locked up, they actually released me that night and gave me 3 medications, but they gave me ibuprofen. They gave me ibuprofen, and it's proven that ibuprofen actually makes the disease worse. And gave me 800 milligrams of it, and they said you have to take this every 8 hours along with the antibiotics. So as I was healing, it made whatever was in my system worse. And then they wanted to stick these tubes up my nose to see if I had coronavirus, and I've never had anything up my nose before. it was just a mess. So when I made them, I spent like 3 days home, and thank God for Frank Zahn for showing up in the hospital. He actually had to wait in the waiting room for like 2 hours and get my medication for me because they wouldn't let me see my friends. And by the time I got out of urgent care under their quarantine, I was there since 10 o'clock that morning. I didn't get out until like 3, 4 o'clock that morning. The next day, it was Sunday. And Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I remember I woke up from the medication that they gave me, and I was like, okay, I'm not gonna make it. I'm not gonna make it. I remember I was sweating and I felt like I wanted to throw up, and I was using the bathroom and wanted to throw up at the same time. And I said, God, if I could just make it to the hospital, I'm gonna make them admit me. And I showed up to the hospital with the intention of fainting. And right when I got to the hospital, right when I stayed there for about a few days, Sora Joy Ross was the person suggested. Then C.B. Murray jumped in, and they mentioned it in my program. But he said you need to make a video about coronavirus and discuss the many things that you've been through.
We're gonna get to that.
Yeah.
Am I on track with the angels?
Yeah, you're on track. The next one, Marisha Wallace. She was the third person to go, hey, you need to make a video about this. People need to know what you've been through. And I was like, Marisha, what are you talking about? Because everybody had found out that I had coronavirus, and she was like, no, you need to do that. I think you need to make a video. And I was like, but I don't feel good, y'all. I'm in pain. And then right when I was admitted to the hospital, I had found out that I was in the New York Times, and I found out from Frank. As they were putting IVs in my arm, and it was making my blood pressure go up. But shout out to Marisha. Now she's signed with Universal Music. And it's because of the good work that she's done. It's because of her being an angel, and the good karma. Yes, Marisha Wallace was another angel of mine. You can show the next one. Also, is Sora Joy Ross in this slide? Could you go to the next slide? Oh, Frank and my MVPs. Frank and John, and shout out to John being a gracious husband, because John could have really, I've seen it happen where people are partnered with some not so good people that are very catty and not so nice, that you go, I'm in pain, and they'll go, well, here's $10, figure it out. And John allowed his husband to show up for me in the wee hours of the morning, allowed his husband to be there for me, because I had no one. My mother could not be here. My mother's in Georgia. My mother was just like, and just to know that I have a friend that I can call, to know that I have people by my side to keep it real. I thank God for them. And I owe Frank, I owe John my life. They saved my life, because had they not been there for me to have my back and to make sure that I was okay and to make sure that I was taken care of, I probably wouldn't be standing here. Yeah. And the picture we're missing was Sora Joy, Lucille Lortel winner. Sorry, it's in there, but which one?
This one? Did I miss? I missed something?
Yeah, my friend the blonde, Sora Joy Ross.
Oh, I thought this was that. Oopsie.
Oh, it's okay. The slide finished, but yeah, she was the first person to suggest for me. Oh, go ahead.
Hold on, I lost you. There we go.
Is it up?
I'm back.
Okay. Yeah, but she was one of the first people. Oh, let me wipe my face because talking. She was one of the first people to suggest that I do that video, and that video, when I filmed it, it was like my third day in the hospital, and I didn't know I was going to be in the hospital. I didn't know I was. Anyway, I was their first everything. I was their first patient that they ever had with coronavirus. They didn't know what they were doing. And I remember I had a doctor named Dr. Ferris, white woman. And she was like, hey, you're our first patient. She said, but we're going to try to get you well and get you out of here. And, I didn't know about coronavirus. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know. And even being there, it was just work. And they were like, film it. So I literally picked up my phone after I got rid of the whooping cough and the diarrhea and the wheezing, the bad breath, the lack of taste buds. I remember the feeling of wanting to pass out. I couldn't stand for a long period of time, and I needed a respirator. I didn't know I needed it until Black nurse. She put it in my nose and it helped me breathe. And the one day, and I haven't taken a shower in days. And the one day I was like, okay, I grabbed my phone. Thank God for Google Pixel. And I said, hey guys, I'm in the hospital. And that's my first.
We've been going about 45 minutes. Do you want to take a break from talking and show the video?
Sure, you could show a little bit of it. And that was my first viral video. Who knew? Who knew?
So this video, now I remember clicking on it when it had maybe like 10,000 views, and I think now it has, is it 60,000?
Yeah, 60,000.
Well,
yeah.
we're gonna more after tonight, I'm sure. So let's go ahead, Peter, let's go ahead and show some of it. I'll leave your microphone on, so if at any point you want to chime in or stop or whatever, we'll take a look. So this is Peter, and it's a little hard to watch because it's hard to watch you in pain, but I think it's important for people to see some reality.
Yeah.
Talking about. All right, let me share my screen. I'm so new to this. Frank has me beat. He's so good at this stuff. Right. Can you see it okay, honey?
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay.
Ooh, this is my first time seeing it since I made it. Ooh!
I'm making this video in honor of Marisha Wallace and C.B. Murray's suggestion. They told me I should give people updates and let people know about the different stigmas and stuff, and just debunk a few things about corona virus. First and foremost, I tested positive for it, and it's been the craziest, most. I feel like I'm in Wonderland / a circus, because just like Fresh Prince said, this is a story all about how my life got flipped, turned upside down, and my life did. It flipped and everything. What happened to me was this. I just know when I just started feeling weird, and it started happening around, like, today is Sunday, but last week around like Tuesday, Wednesday, it just all of a sudden things just hit me. I got this dry cough I couldn't get rid of, and all of a sudden I just started feeling weak, just weak. And everybody that knows me knows I'm always on the go. I'm always doing something, and I guess that's what made me liable with this thing, because of being always on the go, always going. I guess my immune system, was low, and dry cough, and all of a sudden I just started feeling weak, and my body started just aching, and it was just like something was off. And I said, okay, so this is what I'm gonna do. Because I work at a school during the daytime, and then I was working in the Broadway theaters at night. Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf? And I was like, I'll just finish out the week, get to the weekend, and then I'm gonna go to the emergency room and let them handle it and get myself home. And around Friday.
Yeah, because that's pretty much going through the story we have now, and you said you'll upload the link so they can just see the whole thing. But yeah, and
I'm going to share the link right now. I'm going to share it right this moment.
Oh, thank you. But yeah, the drive, yeah, and
watch it. If you watched it, watch it again. It's so important.
Yeah, whooping cough, fever. My immune system shut down, and it was looking at myself, it was like my body was fighting against itself, and there were certain things the doctors and the nurses couldn't help me through. It was certain things I had to pray out of. I remember I literally remember like getting the bad whooping cough and getting the cough so bad that it would make me crunch in fetal position. And I would just have to say, Jesus, 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 Jesus. My mother, my cousin, Dawn, they were praying. My friend Laura Kay. It was so many beautiful things that happened because of it. My friend Laura Kay would send me these beautiful text messages where she would walk around the hospital and pray for me. She would walk around the hospital and just send in a text message and pray for me. My friend Ashanti J. Aria and her mother, Miss Darlene, like, you're not supposed to be able to get to my line because it's a private line. Only the doctor and the nurses can call me. They found a way to get to my private line in the hospital. And like Alicia Van Z. Lario, like all my friends, nurses and stuff, they showed up. And again, Frank, because again, the day I was admitted to the hospital was when I found out I was in the New York Times and the New York Post and Theater Mania, that I had made all the headlines. And the union rep told me that they wanted to use my name, but she said, Miss Carroll, thank you, Miss Carroll. She said, no, they can't use my name. But it just alluded to me. They said it's an usher that worked at Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf. And you know, New Yorkers are smart people. They're gonna put two and two together. They're gonna know. So
And
then it backfired, because then what I thought should have been like a symbolism of shame, what I thought was going to be just a shame thing, it made me a hero to people. People were coming to me going, thank you for telling the truth. Because right when I came with that, then Broadway just shut down. They shut it down. And apparently, this is the thing. Apparently there were cases that were already pending, but they weren't big enough to shut down. They weren't big enough. There were people that had coronavirus since October that nobody knew about, but they just were quiet about it and did not say anything. And with coronavirus, like I learned my first day when I finally got back to school, again, it's just pieces of a tapestry, like a Carole King album, pieces of a tapestry. We had a seminar with Scott Friedman, and he basically teaches kids about empathy and AIDS and chronic illness. And he basically said at the seminar, he says, if you have coronavirus, he goes, you just got a ticket into what someone with AIDS feels. He goes, the doubt within yourself, and you go, how could I catch this disease? The depression, your body turning against itself, because he goes, that's what happens when people have AIDS. Their immune system flips upside down. The cold sweats, the coughs, all these things. He goes, you got it. He goes, but what makes you different is some of you may just have a temporary pass and may be able to get out of it to move on. But he said, there should be no blurred lines with chronic illness in people now. Everyone should have some empathy for someone when they feel away, or if they feel sick, or when they're dealing with a disease that you don't understand. He goes, because coronavirus knows no race, it knows no color. He goes, it's real and it's happening, and you just got a pass into how those people felt. And when he said that, it hit me right in the chest, because I remember in the hospital, remember when I was in urgent care, coronavirus, that'll never happen to me. What are you talking about? And that's like essentially like with AIDS, that'll never happen to me. That happens to a certain type of people, and blah, 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 blah. The stigmas that come along with it. And it humbled me. It humbled me. Now it changed it's literally like a hero that goes through a long journey, like, you know, Dorothy from The Wizard of Oz. You know, you don't come back from that the same way that you came in. And I see the world through completely different eyes. And like I said, going back to Broadway, they applaud me because they go, you were the one that told the truth. And I didn't even think about it like that. They go, you were the one that told the truth. And there were people that would come to me, they go, I have friends who were in shows who had it. And I knew they had it, but I didn't say anything. I didn't say anything. They didn't say anything. And it was stuff coming about people that worked in the theater, from the house, back of the house. People, they were like, they just didn't want to lose their job and they wanted to keep the money rolling. But rather than me, I treated coronavirus like I had a sexually transmitted disease. And it was like Cardi B. When she said, coronavirus is getting real, I called everybody that I got. Thank God I didn't contact anybody much that week other than my cousin Burgundy. And she kept me a distance away from her. And I didn't touch people that much that week. Yes, Ina, thank God for great friends. Thank God.
Yes, Leonie's mom. She's in South Africa. She girl arm. I think it's like 4 in the morning there or something.
Wow.
She's
The
watching
commitment.
just,
The commitment.
you know.
Yeah, but it was they
it's
basically were being exposed for lying, and they said we applaud you because they go if they could have it their way, they would have kept it open for about another month or two until bodies really started hitting the ground. Until what's happening now would have happened essentially on Broadway, because there are people that will choose the money, you know, and coronavirus is showing you that a good person is not necessarily hard to find, but you know how to find them a little faster now. You know, good people, you know, the difference between good people and nice people very easily.
So, in our last 6 minutes, I want to
Okay.
ask you a couple of quick fire questions that we did rehearse. So, number 1, who inspires you?
Well, I thank
You have
God.
many who's, but if you have a top who inspires you?
Well, I thank God for my mom. I thank God for my mom. My mom inspires me. She's a strong woman. You know, her and I. That's my girl. My mom inspires me, and like I said, I thank God. So him first, God first, and Jesus. Jesus just blesses me because, especially when you read the word and you see how Jesus was supposed to empathize with people and work with those that are less fortunate and believed in healing and for the greater good of the people. That inspires me. Artist-wise, it's just a long list. Starting from Maria Callas, I love her. I love her, and I love just the drama that she came along with. I love what she brought into the opera and how she was just 100% committed to her craft. That messes with me because not only was she a great singer, but she was a great actress, and she gave no F's what other people thought. She sang whatever she wanted to sing, and you knew her name. You knew her name, and that's essentially what I go after. Those are the people that essentially inspire me. Random people like Thuria Bonnelly, the figure skater, who took her gold medal off, you know, for being second place when she did a backflip and landed on her one leg. You know, it's a lot of Black women that just really hit my chest and inspire me. My voice teacher Curtis Ram, he's amazing. And then the women in my family, my aunt Dolores, my aunt Deborah, my aunt Alberta, my aunt Merlene, may she rest in peace, my aunt Marion. You know, it's just a long list of people, and even the world itself, and all the good people in the world. You know, even you, Melissa, you inspire me because you're a hustler and you refuse to give up. You know, John is hustler 101. It's just it's a long, tedious list, and I'm about greatness, so I'm always taking notes. So
accepted. I love your answer.
Yeah.
Second question.
Mm-hmm.
How do you think having Kamala Harris as our vice president-elect is going to change the tone in our country in regards to Black Lives Matter?
Through the fact that you know that you can't run from it. And again, you got to thank God for 45. You got to thank God for Donald Trump because he literally is shining a light.
He led us through the light.
And he made us reach the road to where it's absolute truth. Either you're going
before you can rise above.
Yeah. But you're either going to be part of the solution or you're part of the problem. And with Kamala Harris being in office, it's representation for people of color, for Black women, for people of color with Asian women. You know, it speaks, and then women in general. When she told what's his name, Pence, hey, I'm speaking. Like, you know, it's just. It's the truth. It's the truth of the matter. That's what America was founded on. They said we didn't want when America was founded with the colonists. They were like, we didn't want any more kings, so we're gonna throw your tea in this water because we're speaking. We're here. Our opinions matter. We're not gonna have taxation without representation. So it's so funny how history repeats itself, but certain people don't want to remember that part about the history, of that part about how it needs to be for the good of everyone and not just for your own good. How you have to be selfless and not selfish. And that's how coronavirus spread in the first place. The reason why we're here is because of greed, because of narcissism, because of lack of empathy, because we have the wrong leaders. And it's showing people, don't just pass people along. Don't depend on nepotism. Yeah, you may think your son or your daughter is awesome, but do they have people skills? Can they work with everyone? Can they do something for the greater good of society? And those questions are being answered now, and people are paying attention to everything. So yes, Kamala Harris is a great thing, and it's showing representation. And it's letting people know, listen, we're not going anywhere. This is not going anywhere. And whether you like it or not, changes are inevitable.
Right.
And it's not just about you. It's about everyone.
All right. So final question. What is the first thing you want to go do once we're able? Well, I personally am not traveling, but I assume you're not either. Once it feels safe to travel, where are you going?
I would love to go to Paris. I would love to put a stamp on my passport. I would love to put stamps on my passport, because now coronavirus is making me ask the question of, well, what was I doing that was preventing me from traveling? Because I go back to 45, I go back to Donald Trump, with him not being qualified, with him being lack of professionalism, with him being a beacon for hate and shining a spotlight so bright for hate and being underqualified. If he can be president, then what's stopping me from doing anything? What's stopping me from slaying the world and going to see the world? What's stopping me from putting stamps on my passport? Like what's holding me back? And I have to thank him for that, because essentially he was one of the lowest points in the hospital. My lowest point when I was like, okay, either I'm going to die or I'm going to live, was when he said coronavirus wasn't real. When he said it on the television, he said coronavirus wasn't real and it's something that the Democrats made, and he started making it political. And I broke down and cried. I said, I am in here with coronavirus. I said, but I have it. And I said, okay, I can't do this anymore, because it just hit me now. God revealed it in my spirit. He was like, that could have been your deathbed. You could have died there. You could have. But being Black, the Black experience in America, where you're so inconvenienced and you're so used to being defiant and hope, I didn't have time to die.
No.
I didn't have time to die. I kept thinking about my job and thinking about my mom blowing up the hospital. I kept thinking about all these other things. And eventually I turned him off and turned on SpongeBob SquarePants. I'll never forget it. SpongeBob SquarePants. I had to find you. I had to watch Golden Girls. I had to do something, because if I listen to him, it's like negative. It's like toxic negativity. You can only listen to toxic negativity and be bullied for so long. Eventually I had to turn it off. I had to turn him off. Yeah.
Well, I think we need to have a reunion in like 6 months. We need to do this again.
Yeah.
Just see what the world is doing and just talk more about how you're doing. And I love your point of view, Peter. You're so smart.
Oh, thank God. No, thank you. Thank God. Thank my mom.
I believe John and Frank introduced us. I met you from them for sure.
Yes.
For how many years ago now? So I've known since 2004. But I'm so happy that we know each other, that we're friends. And the soonest opportunity we have to do a show at Stonewall, we're definitely doing it. I don't care if we have to wear masks or shields or all of the above. So I'm going to show. So your friend is quoting you, "I didn't have time to die," as the best quote of the evening. I agree with you.
That's just the truth of the matter. I didn't have time to die. I was so busy checking my phone and checking with the jobs. And it made me look at myself in the mirror. It's like, what are you doing?
Yes.
What are you doing? Like, I'm coughing up a lung. I'm crunching over myself. My immune system is turning against itself. And I'm sitting here with an IV. I haven't showered in days. My teeth are yellow. And I'm talking about, I don't have time to die, but that's the Black experience in America, because you're so used to being underserved. You're so used to having to fight for it and be 15 steps ahead of everyone else. You're so used to having to work against it, and it shouldn't have to be that way. But again, it goes back to your question before. Kamala Harris, how did she get divorced?
I think so. I think it's for sure.
For sure.
Thank you so much. I'm going to ask that you get out backstage for a little bit.
Okay.
We can have a little chat or cheers or whatever.
Yeah, and I want to thank everybody that came along to see this thing live, to support me. I just want to thank you all so much. I want to thank you for your prayers, for your positive energy. I want to thank each and every one of you guys, and thank Melissa Driscoll for her platform, because, again, we are all we've got, people. I want to say that one more time before I go. We are all we've got. and you can't wait for someone else to do it for you. If you know who the good people are in your group, you grab those good people and you hold on to them and you take care of those people, because I'm living. I am living proof. I'm living proof. And if you feel a way, say something. Stand up for yourself. Because if Donald Trump can be president, you can do anything. What is holding you back? Do this. Slay the world.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Marie. Thank you, Ina, for tuning in. Well, Peter, don't go anywhere. I'm going to come back and see you in like 2 seconds.
Okay.
Thank you. I love you.
Love you. God bless you all.
Everybody. Love you. Isn't his story incredible? I think Peter's amazing. And I am truly, truly blessed that we met several years ago through our good friend, John Bronston. So share this with anyone who suffered or could be suffering with coronavirus, anyone who needs to be educated about it. I think his story is brilliant, and I think he brilliantly states the facts of what happened to him in the hospital, which is super sad and super scary, but I think it's all really, really informative and very, very, very good to hear the truth. So next week, we have a double show for you. On Saturday at 8 p.m., I have my good friend, Hannah Ingram. We performed together in the USO many moons ago, talking about the early 2000s, and she is a resident, one of the players at the Barter Theater, and she is a full-time actress. And we need to talk about those stories, how those jobs are on hold, and how she'll be, waiting until their theater can open back up again. But she is just a divine personality and super smart. And we have so many stories about our USO time together. And then on Sunday, we have my good friend Chelsea Hopstock, and she's going to be tuning in from Ohio. She's there still quarantining with her family. She was the 2018 winner of Stonewall Sensation. So she's going to be doing a little fundraiser for her move back to New York, and also a podcast she's starting and an EP that she's preparing. So that's next weekend. And then Thanksgiving weekend, I am going to take off. So that's why we're having a double show next week. And then finally, December is not totally 100% yet, but on December 5th, I'm having Nathan Mansky, from the creator of I'm From Driftwood, which is a platform for anti-bullying and also talks about coming out stories. I think he's on his 12th year in his non-for-profit. So we're going to talk to him, talk about all the great work he's doing. And we have a very special announcement on that night. Well, thank you so much. Special thanks to Leonie, my tech in the background. I appreciate everything you do for me. So we've all voted. So last time I told you to vote, we voted. Thank you so much for voting. And we're going to be kind to one another. And we're also going to continue to wear a mask and wash our hands and be safe. Be safe, everyone. Love you. Thank you for tuning in.
For you, it's a new point of view to chew over what's new to you. Shoot the breeze, make buddies, and Melissa MC's families, memories. Original artist series.